basically how there's so many different cultures that kind of form in like these little pockets on the internet. The way I see it, like there's a certain culture that surrounds my channel that's not the same as the culture that surrounds someone else's channel or surrounds a live stream. And I feel like every time you break it into like a new section, there's a new culture. So like around my channel, there's this sort of air of like everyone's really sort of polite and like they try to leave sort of well thought out comments and stuff because, you know, my videos are obviously that. They are polite, well-thought-out stuff, and I respond to most of my comments. Or not most of them. Not even close to most of them, because I get hundreds of fucking comments, but I respond to a number of them. And so, when you respond to the comments on your videos, people take that, and it just, like, inspires them to make better comments, you know? Like, because the comments on my videos are better than the rest of YouTube, and that's not me bragging, that's just fact. YouTube comments suck customarily, you know?
Oh, yeah.
I think we can all agree on that one. They're usually a horrible, horrible thing. Like, I'm a huge fan of Game Grumps, and the comment sections on their videos just make me hate life. They're just the worst places on Earth. I think I posted a picture of Twilight's eyes exploding and just blood shooting out, and I was like, this is how I feel when I read Game Grumps video comments. But yeah, if you respond to your commenters, it makes them feel like, oh, he's listening and he's watching, so I should, like, try to be okay or even possibly try to impress, you know?
See, before because I actually did not, it's probably because I ended up talking to you and Bernagirius, because I think that's the only reason why anyone looks at my shit. But when I first started out, I made it a point to respond to every last comment I got, because the whole entire reason I started my channel was because I wanted to discuss, you know, my views and my opinions and et cetera, et cetera. So, but now that it's gotten just so out of whack, like, especially after being on Equestria Daily, it's like, where do I start?
Yeah.
Because I
feel that way now, too, because it's just way too overwhelming. You know, like, I have a video that I put out, like, 3 days ago, and it's got, like, 500 comments on it. You know, obviously, I can't even read all those.
And it's just also, like...
No, actually, it has 1,100 comments. Never mind. Okay, that was likes. It's 580 comments.
Okay, I was about to say, like, you need to calm down with that.
I have some that have, like, I think the Magical Mystery Cure video is, like, approaching, like, 2,000 comments. It's fucking ridiculous. Because everyone just flips shit about that episode.
I'm almost disgusted. I'm almost disgusted.
Here we go. Alicorn Princess Twilight Sparkle video has 2,396 comments. And then the...
Well, you also have to consider the fact that some of those are your comments.
Yeah,
but, I mean, I don't think 1,000 of them.
Yeah, about 100 are my comments, and the Magical Mystery Cure video is close to 2,000. So, but it's because, and the thing is that those comment threads on my older videos, they have a tendency to start degrading as time goes on. Because again, if you don't participate, then people just feel like they're anonymously leaving comments on some video. Because most people don't have the impression that people actually read their own comments. Like on Game Grumps videos. Like Game Grumps, they skim some of their comments, but they obviously don't read them all because they get, you know, fucking like 100,000 comments a video, like instantly, you know. So how are they gonna read that, you know? And it's all drivel. But the thing is that if you are managing it, you know, and you don't have to be there the whole time, but like I try to be there for the really early stages of my video coming out. Like for the first 12 hours or so, I try to respond to most of the comments just so I can see where the discussion goes, see what people thought of the video, you know, respond to everyone before it jumps off that point where I can't follow it anymore, you know. Right. But I do think it's interesting that it creates that sort of atmosphere in my comments where, because I went into this expecting to have to deal with shitty YouTube comments, you know, because like me and my friend were discussing this, my friend named Ghost Lightning, who is a anime blogger, and he's basically known for the fact that he had the best comment sections out of any blog ever, right? Because like he and I were both anime bloggers. Both of us got somewhat popular, but his was like a little bit more than mine. But I would never get comments because I didn't really leave my posts open for discussion. It was mostly about like me and my impression, and I made that so clear in my posts that it was hard to respond because it's like, what do I say? You know, what do I add to this? So what was great about Ghost Lightning was that he would leave his stuff really open, and it make it easy for people to comment on it, and then he would respond to every comment, no matter what. Even if he only had like one-word replies, he responded to every comment that anyone left on his blog. So he would get like 100 comments for each post because people would have these lengthy-ass discussions. Like, people would leave comments the size of, longer than the post itself, and he'd get into these huge epic debates with these people and stuff in his comment section. It was fucking brilliant, and I was always super jealous of it, So when I've been writing these pony videos, I write them the way that he used to write his posts. Like, the way that I'm writing now is very reflective of how he used to be, where I leave a lot of stuff open. I try to make it sound more like, here's some ideas, now you guys expand on it, So, whereas I used to just kind of drive things into the ground until I had said everything that I could. So now I get those kind of discussions, and so I curate my comments the same way that he did. That's the phrase I always use is curate. Is just like I try to help them along and like build this sort of atmosphere in the comments. Mm-hmm. But the reason I'm talking about all this is because it completely changes when you're doing a live stream, because there is no curation and there's no limits, and people are just constantly responding to everything you say. And so it becomes this sort of like weird, I don't want to say they're vying for attention, that is part of it, but it's
I noticed
like
even if it's not your stream, people tend to flock to you whenever you're around.
Right. That's just because people, I don't know why people are constantly asking me questions, and I'm like, I did this Q&A, like, go there, like I didn't do that for 9 hours so you could like bombard me with questions every time I'm in somebody else's stream, but I don't mind. Obviously, I'm not like unhappy that people want to hear about me, but I'm like, you could ask me this on Twitter, right? Like, you don't have to do this here. But yeah, like when you go into a stream, and the thing is, I've noticed also that if you are reading the chat, they will say exponentially more stuff in that chat. Like, when you go into Brony Curious's chat, it's kind of slow, because no one's reading the chat on the video. Like, nobody who's in the stream is reading the chat. They all just kind of watch the show, they all talk, and the people in the chat are just kind of listening to them, and, so the chat's really slow, or they're talking to each other. Whereas in my streams, it's usually directly talking to me or the people who I'm streaming with. And that's why I constantly tell my friends, hey, read me the chat, tell me what's happening. And when we stop reading it out loud, like when we stop responding to it, it turns to absolute madness. It's just like people just start saying all this, like it'll just be like 2 pages of just people going, nipples, let's talk about nipples, let's just fucking spam you with nipple thoughts all day, And then like the second I address the chat, it's like we start having a conversation again, So there's definitely this sort of like, when people feel like you're talking to them, they become more intelligent because they know that someone's reading and they're not just spamming into a void, And I mean, I do the same thing. Even like, I've left comments on Game Grumps videos where I just like, oh, today it was so perfect, because they put out a video and they had at one point, sometimes they have like a censor for like basically whenever John says nigga, and like a horse came on screen and it literally said in text "nay" above its head, so I just left a comment that just said "nay," and I actually had like at least 2 people respond to it who completely got it, and I was like, yes, this is where I've reached that level of internet fame that I could leave a comment on a constantly moving comment thread and at least 2 people knew what it was, and I was like, my life is set now. But yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna leave an intelligent, like, I'm not gonna respond to what the Game Grumps are talking about in the comments, because they're not going to read it, so why would I? I'd save that shit for if I could actually talk to them for real, But when people leave comments on my thread, they think they feel like they're talking to me, not just to a wall, or not just to the other commenters on YouTube. So yeah, that's my thoughts on curating comments and the culture around comments. You can stop recording now.
Okay.